if you want to be rich in Genshin Impact, then this video is for you. Because in today's guide, I'm going to show you a routine that you can do on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis to gain massive amounts of Primogems, Mora, XP materials, and much more. The sooner you start doing this, the better. So let's not waste any time and get right to it. Alright, so first of all, let me give you a quick overview of how this video is structured. First of all, I want to start out with all the things that you can do on a daily basis every single day. Afterwards, we're going to talk about the weekly routines, stuff that gets refreshed once per week. And finally, there are also a couple things that refresh on a monthly basis, so that's what we're going to talk about at the end. And with that being said, let's get into the dailies now. Alright, so when we're talking about the dailies, the first and very obvious thing would be to just log into the game on a daily basis. Especially when you are a mild spender and you buy the Blessing of the Welkin Moon, then that means you get 90 Primogems for free just for logging in. But even if you are completely free to play, there are advantages to logging in every day, as you will soon see. And now that we're already talking about daily login, don't only log into the game itself, but also make sure to sign in once per day to Hoyo Lab, the Genshin website, because as you can also see in the background right here, you can gain some nice daily rewards just for signing into Hoyo Lab as well, and those rewards are accessible to all players, including those who are completely free to play. And while you're at it in the web browser, also make sure to check if there are any current web events going on, because usually web events don't take all too much time to complete, but they pay you out a nice sum of rewards, including Primogems. But let's now go back into the game itself. One thing you should absolutely make sure to do every single day if you want to become rich is, of course, your daily commissions. The daily commission system is unlocked once you reach adventure rank 12, and also you gotta complete the world quest every day a new adventure. All in all, pretty easy early game stuff. From that point on, you will see 4 daily commissions marked on your map with those purple markers here, and when you do all of them, you can talk to Catherine from the Adventurers Guild to get additional rewards. All in all, doing your daily commissions is the easiest way to stock up on Primogems as well as enhancement ores and money. But that's not all you can do in the Adventurers Guild. One thing you should also not forget about would be expeditions. This is a feature where you can send up to 5 characters out on an expedition for the day, and then when they come back, they bring you various types of things. For example, ores that you can transform into more enhancement ores for your weapons, different types of plants and foods for your cooking, or also, what I personally prefer, just plain old money. In order to unlock the expeditions, all you have to do is be adventure rank 14 and complete the world quest Busy Adventurers Guild. Also here, pretty easy early game stuff. Up next, and this is also something you can do right from the start of the game, would be using your daily resin. Resin is a resource that you can use to do various activities and get rewards from them. You only have a set amount of this per day, and it refreshes over time, but it only refreshes to its cap of 200 per day. In other words, once you are at the maximum of 200 resin, it won't increase any longer, and when you don't spend it, you basically waste the potential rewards that you could get from doing these activities. So yeah, go out there, use your resin to take out some bosses, do some artifact domains, or maybe even farm some ley lines for money or character experience materials. Just make sure to not let your resin go to waste. And here I have another helpful tip, and that would be, once you have a high enough reputation in Liyue, you will obtain a recipe for crafting an item called condensed resin. With this recipe, what you can do is, you can transform 40 resin into 1 condensed resin that you can then use to pay for certain rewards, just like with the normal resin, but the benefit here is that you can store up to 5 of these condensed resins in your inventory for as long as you like. So, in other words, what that means is, if you simply don't have time to spend your 200 resin per day, you can simply use them to craft 5 condensed resin. So basically, it allows you to store 1 full day worth of resin in your inventory. And just by the way, if you could maybe drop the video a like, that would be super duper nice, because it always helps me big time with the YouTube algorithm. So cheers so much for your support. However, we are still by far not done with the stuff that you can do on a daily basis. One thing you should also always do is, once you have unlocked your Serena teapot, go and visit your teapot once a day, claim your realm currency to see if there's anything on the shop that you could buy, and also do some farming on your fields if need be. Another thing that you should do on a daily basis is complete your daily Battle Pass tasks. You can take a look at your Battle Pass progress up here, and here you can also see which daily missions the Battle Pass has for you. Make sure to do them every day, because even if you are completely free to play and you don't buy the paid version of the Battle Pass, there is a free version too, and these are essentially a bunch of free items that you don't want to miss. The next thing you should do daily, and this is actually very darn simple, just go over to your blacksmith and take whichever crystals or ores you have and turn them into weapon enhancement ores. You can craft up to 30 mystic enhancement ores per day, and if you're very dedicated and you really want to make sure to get those 30 once a day, then the next thing you gotta do is regular ore mining to get a total of 120 crystals per day, because that is how much you need to craft 30 mystic enhancement ores. But budge, weapons are not the only things you need to level up. Specifically, legendary artifacts need quite a lot of materials to get to level 20. And that's also one of the daily things you can farm for. As you can see here, in various locations all over Teyvat, there are those special glowing spots, and when you interact with them, they drop you random white or green artifacts. You can farm up to 100 of these spots per day, and on the internet you will find various routes for where specifically to go to get as many basic artifacts as possible, which you can then use to either sell them for Mora or as fodder to level up your artifacts. And finally, one little daily thing that is also very nice would be random events. These are the ones that show up with this blue marker on the map here, and you can do up to 10 of these per day, giving you in total between 10 and 20,000 Mora, as well as between 10 and 20 mystic enhancement ores. Just in case you want to know where exactly you can find all those events, there's a list on the Genshin Impact wiki. I'm gonna put you a link to this in the description down below. So yeah, these would be all the things you can do on a daily basis, and if you follow this checklist regularly, then you will see that over time, you accumulate quite a lot of wealth. However, of course, you shouldn't feel forced to do every single thing on this list every single day. The most important things here are, of course, logging in, daily sign-in feature online, do your commissions, do your expeditions, and use your daily resin. And everything else you can leave away if you are short on time. But so much for your daily routine. Let's now talk about the stuff that you can't do every day, but that is also very important, refreshing once per week. And here, of course, I want to start out with the Trounce domains. You can find them in your Adventurer's Handbook right here. And these are essentially those epic boss fights from which you not only gain a lot of resources, but also the specific talent level up materials that you need to level up a talent in the higher levels. You can do each of these bosses once per week. However, for the first 3 encounters that you do per week, you only pay half the resin to get the rewards. So my personal recommendation here would be just only do these 3 per week and leave out the rest. The next thing that resets weekly would be your reputation bounties and requests for the different nations in Teyvat. As you can also see in the background right here, every nation has 1 NPC to talk to for those bounties and requests, and you can do 3 bounties and 3 requests per week, giving you not only reputation with the specific nation, but also a whole bunch of Mora. Definitely don't miss out on those. And next, let's again get back to the Battle Pass. Remember how in the previous chapter I said, do your daily Battle Pass tasks? Well, turns out there aren't only daily, but also weekly tasks for the Battle Pass. And that means, of course, if you want to reach the maximum level for the Battle Pass, then you need to make sure to also finish as many of those weeklies as possible. Usually, they're pretty simple, like cooking 20 dishes, doing certain amounts of bosses or ley lines. Most of them you're probably gonna do automatically, but just to make sure, check your progress regularly to make sure to have all of it done by the end of Sunday. And now, there is one final thing that I want to talk about, and this is one of the easiest way to get a lot of nice free stuff that I think still a lot of players are unaware about, and that would be the Paramedic Transformer. This thing right here is a gadget that you could use once per day, and the way it works is you throw in a whole bunch of stuff that you don't need anymore, then blast it for a while with elemental attacks, and once the meter is full, it will reward you with Mora, character and weapon XP, as well as essential materials and much more. Depending on what type of quote-unquote fuel you put into it, you would get other things out. For example, if you need character experience material and talent books, then you should put in all types of plants and foods. If you need Mora and weapon essential material, then use stuff that gets dropped by enemies. And if you need weapon enhancement ores as well as those elemental crystals to ascend your characters, then use any types of ores or crystals as fuel. In case you want to have a full list, then you can pause the video right here as I'm showing you screenshots from the Genshin Impact wiki showing you every single material in the game that leads to certain outcomes. But yeah, long story short, use your paramedic transformer once per week to turn worthless stuff into valuable items that you can actually use. And in case you're wondering how to obtain the paramedic transform in the first place, in order to get it, you gotta finish the world quest, Genshin Treasure Trail. Whew, that was quite a lot, right? All the daily and weekly tasks? But we aren't finished just yet. In Genshin Impact, there are a few things that only refresh once per month, and before we call it a day, let's also talk about those. First of all, one thing you need to definitely keep in mind is that once per month, you can buy 5 Acquaint and 5 Intertwined Fates in the shop, not from Star Glitter, but just from Stardust. Usually players, no matter if free-to-play or not, have at least a bit of Stardust lying around, so make sure to buy your free Stardust Fates once per month. Same thing, by the way, also goes for the Star Glitter shop, and here it is characters that we're talking about. As you might be aware, certain 4-star characters can be bought directly from Star Glitter in the Star Glitter shop, and some of these 4-star characters, like Fischl, Xingqiu, Xiangling, are really strong, and even though they're old, still considered very meta-relevant. However, especially if you're still a relatively new player, it might be that you don't have them in the first place, or you still lack the constellations that they need to really excel. So, what you gotta do is, also once per month, check out which characters are currently for sale in the Star Glitter shop, and if you need one of them and have the Star Glitter in the bank, then buy the character or stack up on constellations. However, don't worry, we're not just talking about shopping. Let's now also talk about the, in my opinion, 2 best sources for tons and tons of free Primogems. Starting out with, of course, the Spiral Abyss. The Spiral Abyss is located in Musgrave, right here on the map, this little island, and you can unlock this gate once you reach Adventure Rank 20. Now, what the Spiral Abyss is relatively simple. It's basically a battle arena where you fight harder and harder enemies with increasing levels, and for every one of these floors that you finish, you get rewarded not only with a ton of Primogems, but also Mora and other useful materials. Floor 1 to 8 here, unfortunately, can only be done once, so once you receive the rewards, you can never get them again. However, the more difficult ones, floors 9 to 12, refresh once per month, usually around the 15th. So while these floors tend to be a bit more difficult and require you to be a bit more advanced to fully finish them, I would say it's still worth it to check them out once per month, go as far as you can, and get yourself some nice free Primogems. It is kind of similar to the Spiral Abyss, where you also fight ever-increasing waves of enemies, and also here, there is one reward pool that you gain once you finish it for the first time, and then a second pool that refreshes once per month, so at the beginning of every new month, also visit the Imaginarium Theater to see what you can do. We see each other, hopefully in the next one, and until then, as always, travel smart.